understand that what drives the business, what is the value, why they buy, and why would they pay money. The marketer who can articulate that back for your business is probably the one who can come up with the right plan to sell your business, right? And as if you want to become a savvy marketer, that's what you should learn how to do. Look at every business and say, what makes it work? How should it be sold? And that will allow you to become a better marketer.
Welcome to the B2B Digital Marketer Podcast, a podcast helping you to end your struggle with digital marketing, helping you to pave a new and better path to target and capture your ideal customer. Each week, we teach you how insiders and experts debunk the dreary and become engines of innovation. Now, here's your host, Jim Rembach.
Okay, B2B DM gang, we're going to have a great discussion today because I have Avi Kumar with me, and you're going to learn about him in a second. But before we get into that, there's a couple of things that are going to be of high interest in the discussion that we have today. That is testing yourself and your ability in regards to being a savvy marketer. And the other may be finding a savvy marketer. So they're going to find value in a lot of different ways for this particular episode. Avi, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you for having me here.
Now, before we start exploring these, if you could tell the B2B DM gang just a little bit about yourself and your experience.
Sure. So my deep experience is from actually hardware side. I'm trained as an engineer working on at Intel and other doing processors, etc. But for last 14 years, I've been focused all on marketing. And that's when I started this company, Kuver, which is a strategic marketing agency. Strategic in the sense we do the strategy first and get paid for the strategy before we do any implementation. That's what differentiates us from the others. And in the other additional company we acquired in November is Invisible PPC, which is a white label PPC service for other agencies. We just wanted to expand, and that seemed to fit in with our things we do. So we acquired that. So those are the two things I focus on. And our Kuver clients are 50-50. 50% are B2B customers and 50 are B2C. But B2B, our customers on Kuver side are actually very interesting. They're large customers with large ticket items. And we deliver it through a model called a fractional CMO model. Our marketing is delivered as a fractional CMO.
Well, and so that's, for me, I think, which is so appealing to have our discussion today is because I shared a little bit about my background and history. Almost 20 years ago, I started using digital in order to, make connections and do lead generation and, build a network. And because I didn't have a choice with the organization that I worked for, my choice could have been to leave, but I didn't want to do that. Right. So I learned a lot, and I was stealing a lot from organizations that were doing, B2C, type of marketing. And so now you're kind of getting both of those. So as you said, 50-50 with one organization or one business unit you have. And so now, you can help provide some clarity in regards to, what's working and what's not working, because right now there's just a ton of confusion out there, isn't there?
Certainly. So, and especially B2B world, where there was a lot of B2B was also, a lot of businesses was kind of salesman approach, building to building, not really door to door, but it was building to building. That COVID kind of killed that. So that changed it suddenly. So we did have a lot of influx of some large B2B, who used to say, oh, digital marketing doesn't work for us because we are a handshake business. That's how we close deals. These are big deals. So they had no choice but to go digital, if you will. And most of them been very happy. In fact, they're surprised at why did we do this before? A lot more can be achieved this way. So it's changing for sure. But at the same time, digital has this tendency of sometimes making everything seem like automated or magical. It's not. These basic principles of marketing still apply. Digital does not change those, right? And when I'm the things I talk about, basic principles of marketing, these are not the principles from 10 or 20 years back. For that, those are the things which have got the marketing has got muddied in the last 20 years or so. You got to go back 30 years back and then bring those principles applied to the current technology. So that's really what it is about. The basic things still apply, but so it is a lot of confusion. A lot of people willing to go online now for digital. The ones who were not used to, especially in B2B space. Even we have some customers which it's hard to qualify them as B2B or B2C. I'm talking about customers who are selling, say, these are big infrastructures for buildings which are sold through contractors. So it's B2B that way, but it's really what they're selling is an end product, which is each product is $10,000 or $15,000. So, do you sell it as B2B? Do you promote it as B2B to contractors? Or do you start going to B2C to the customers who will ask the contractors to use this material? So there is those kind. And these are kind of the things you could originally only buy through big box stores and all. And now they want to sell it directly to the contractors, if you will. So it's a B2B sale. So there is a lot of emerging and interesting thing, and us being placed at the crossroads of B2B and B2C, we did bring one to the other in many ways for some of our customers.
Okay, so as you were, sharing that particular story, I start thinking about my go-to-market strategy and how that has to evolve and maybe pivot. And so when you start talking about strategy, and you talk about marketing strategy and talk about fractional CMO and all that, you and I were even talking about the current statistics associated with the average tenure of a CMO and how that's continuing to shrink. And there's a lot of reasons for that, and I think you kind of hit on them through what you were sharing right there. But if I'm to say that my go-to-market strategy is set, and then I go and I start doing some things from a marketing perspective, what are the risks of that?
Say that again. So your go-to-market strategy is set, and what are the risks with going to market with that?
Correct. Because here's what I find, and here's the way I say that is, I find a lot of times you talk about that, how far do we need to go back? And we start talking about the way that we used to do business. We talk about COVID. Even this morning, I'm looking on the news and about yet another variant that's, starting to take off and with highly contagious and, can lead to some significant problems. And they're having to modify the vaccines to address, all these types of things. When I start looking at all these particular factors, if I have a go-to-marketing strategy and I start, trying to put marketing around it, and that go-to-marketing strategy has some flaws to it, there's some risks. I find a lot of people needing to go back and review their go-to-market strategy because of the shifts and the changes that have occurred.
Yeah, certainly. So our approach is, when we do go-to-marketing strategy, we have test phases throughout. We strongly believe to be nimble and change very quickly, test and change quickly. And it seems like everybody says, oh, we test, but it's actually easier said than done. Testing is not that easy because it's that's one thing. So when we lay out a strategy, go-to-market strategy, we lay out the testing strategy as part of the strategy, where they say, okay, this is the path we're going to try. This channel we think will work well, and this is our best guess based on our past experience. But these are the other channels we think might be worthwhile. So let's try this. And then against this, we'll try this second and third channel with a little bit of a spend to figure out whether that is working. And then pivot if necessary, right? And that allows even faster pivoting if something like the COVID changes the game, right? So we were doing this already just to be more successful before COVID. And it really helped us during COVID because suddenly the supply chain changed. Suddenly there is a problem with inventory. And we already tested. Let's change the product line, product mix. So as a marketers, we went and convinced the manufacturing and product division that this is how you can do this product differently now. Just use a different material. So our marketing approach is very different in the sense when we do the marketing strategy, we try to understand the whole production, product, service in a lot more detail as B2B. And that allows us to influence our marketing or change our marketing based on the market conditions. So any go-to-market strategy should have a test plan in it that if this doesn't work, how I'm going to do it. So that is how I would address changes, which will be surprises, basically.
And I think that leads into what we were talking about is how do I know if I'm a savvy marketer? And I think one of the core areas is what we were just talking about in that go-to-marketing strategy.
Sure. Yeah. So the way, and the other side of the coin is that, hey, how do you tell is this is the marketer I want to hire, especially if you're hiring FCMO level, a senior marketer. So this is how I like to think about it. And this is also there's a third part to it, which is this is also a great closing strategy. This is how you want to close a big client. They're kind of tied together because they're trying to judge you and you want to be judged for that, for right reasons. So this is what I like to do with clients. And this is how a client can tell. Basically, as a marketer, if you talk to your clients about your marketing savvy, marketing techniques, and things you will bring to the table, you are actually doing yourself a disservice because they expect that you are a marketing expert. Before talking to you, they already expect that you will know much more marketing than them. By throwing this marketing techniques and things, you're not helping yourself. Instead, if you take that all half an hour time, like 25 minutes, if you have a half an hour meeting for discovery to figure out whether they're a good match, take 25 minutes to just understand their business, ask about their business, and genuinely ask about the business. This is not just, because it'll sound good. Take interest in the business. And if you can repeat back what their business is, what you understood in the last 5 minutes, you will not have to talk about marketing. You will close the deal. And as a company hiring, you want such a marketer who has interest in your business. In fact, my favorite quote I use with the customers is that I want to learn about your business so much that I can go and create a competing business and beat you. Once I know that much, then I can do good marketing for you. Because otherwise, I'm just coming and saying, oh, let's try this. Yeah, we know Facebook more. Let's do Facebook. Oh, let's try this. Let's do account-based marketing because account-based marketing is hard now, B2B. Let's do. Those are terms, and client will say, okay, great, probably they know more. But if you can understand their business and tell them, for this part of the business, this is the reason it runs. This is how you get clients. This is what we need to do now. Or you need to change the process sometimes a little bit. When you can talk their lingo, then they understand. You care about the business, not about the marketing. At a senior level as a CMO, you got to truly care about the business, not about your marketing. Because end of the day, marketing is subservient of the business. And many times as a marketers, when we think we have all these, wheelhouse of our tricks, we forget that. And we start saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to try this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to set this automation up, and everything will be coming in automatically and everything will work, right? So that's the way to differentiate as a marketer, and to tell yourself. And it's a self-test too. If you cannot understand the business, probably you don't want to market it. And there are two reasons for that. In startup cases, I've run into this, funded startups. I'm having difficulty understanding why anybody will buy that product. If you're having difficulty understanding that, most likely that startup will fail. Because they're having difficulty, you are the marketer they want to pay, and you're having difficulty. How? That means it's not clear. So that's one reason. Other reason is maybe it's beyond your capability. That could be a company which is in a technology or in a space where you're not understanding it. You don't want to get engaged in that, because if you don't understand business, there's no marketing trick can help you. So it works both ways, right? And then there will be others which you understand more, right? And as a marketers, we just, with our experience, if you worked more with the insurance, you understand insurance more. So it's automatic. It's okay to just take those. So I think that is the test. That's the litmus test we apply when we get clients on board. If we can understand the business and they are not marketers, without their marketing savvy, if they can sell the business to us and we understand enough, why would end customer buy? Then probably we can sell it. That means we can go and market it. Otherwise, we're just not a good match. We are not ready. And same goes for the business. If I cannot repeat back exactly what is the core value of your business, why it works in my first meeting, then don't hire me because I don't get it. So that's the approach we use.
Okay. So, gosh, as you're sitting there and walking through that, relationship building process, I start thinking of the situation of, well, you are bringing the expertise, you understand the frameworks and the pillars and all of those things in order for it to be able to work. But however, you should keep that in your pocket, and you don't share that until you've given or been obtain the opportunity to fill in all of their information into your framework. So you may have the answers and come to the table with the answers, but if you throw that upon them, it's going to shut the door. So they have to know that you are really listening to them, and it goes back to that whole humanity piece. Marketing is about how to be better, connectors from a human perspective, and that's what I'm hearing you say. So
yes, yeah, certainly, absolutely. So I learned about closing and selling. I learned from a salesperson who we had hired, and I noticed this. We were on a drive to Dallas to meet a client, and she received a call from a prospective person who had reached out. And she talked half an hour on that call in the drive. She did not say anything about our company. And she closed the deal. And this is, even though this was a salesperson. And I said, really? I guess I can use the name Haley. Haley, this is amazing. You don't even know that much about, she's a salesperson. She said, well, he wanted a listening ear. He wanted to talk about his business. And that's what I was doing, right? I was just listening. So you're absolutely right. So they are business people, they are waiting for somebody to really, truly listen, right? That's the first aspect of it to any business, any engagement, right? So that's absolutely right. And the other part which you pointed out is actually good, and it's a great segue for something which I do want to talk about, which we were discussing earlier, is the part that don't give it away, the whole strategy away. There's two reasons not to give away the strategy. First, you could be wrong because you don't know enough about the business yet. Just had a precursory discussion, right? The ideas you give might be, they might say, oh, you should do this. And they say, yeah, we tried 2 years back, failed completely. Now what, right? So because you have not spent enough time discussing the details, what they have done, what they have not done. So you don't want to give ideas like that. You just focus on the business and understanding. And then what we do in our case is we have a discovery, it's called DASH. We have a trademark on it, Discovery, Analysis, and Strategy Highlights, DASH TM, registered trademark on that. But the general concepts is anywhere. As a marketers, we love to create acronyms. So we created our own. But the idea is we figure out in DASH, we figure out who's the competition, what is the market possible growth, what is the digital work they have done so far, what has worked, what has not worked. We do all this, then we present a strategy. And we do not do this for free. So our first engagement is a DASH, and DASH costs on average $24,000 for 2 weeks of work for us actually presenting to them what they need to do and what we know about them. And then we say, let's engage for marketing now, right? So it is so there at that point, we know so much, anything we're going to present would have already taken care of anything which they have tried or not tried. We will come across as much more savvy marketer and clear on what we want to do. And even there, we never say in the presentation, okay, this is it, strategy, this is what it's going to be. And this is where we go back to what I was talking about earlier, that test plan. We have a test plan that this is what we recommend, but we're going to try this, we're going to try this, we're going to try this with so much budget, and then we will see if this works, otherwise we'll pivot, right? And DASH has become our favorite thing for multiple reasons. One, we get paid now for a really good proposal. Who doesn't want that, right? Like you're getting paid for a proposal. And we, the other reason is it's such a deep dive that we enjoy the process of understanding the business. So actually, when we do it, we really feel like, okay, we're really getting this business, right? And the other part I want to share with you with Dash is that because now it's a history of 4 years back, we used to charge just $4,800 for this Dash. And we used to hear clients saying, wow, because this is what we were looking for. We present this, wow, this is amazing. And so nobody, once they saw it, they might initially say, why should I pay? But they said, wow. So as a marketer, I realized that if you're hearing enough wows, that means you're not charging enough, right? So I immediately said, let's double the price. We doubled the price. And we doubled the price. And of course, our salespeople are saying, oh, this is not good, this, that. And we were fine. Then I go to this meeting with a client who's visiting us, and the salesperson tells me that, you know what, this client is going to close with us for sure, but I think our dash is too much. Can you do something about the dash? Because they're going to pay us $25,000 a month afterwards anyway. So just kind of do something about dash, because I have a good feeling, but I think dash might be something. And I didn't like that, but I did not say anything. I kept quiet in the meeting. And as we were presenting and said, oh, we do dash, by the way, they said, how much is the dash? And I said, right then I decided to double it by saying, oh, by the way, our dash is 19,800. I did not even tell my salesperson. And they signed up on the spot. They said, actually, they said this was Thursday. They said, we really like what you presented. Other reason we like, you didn't do a slide deck. You actually went on a blackboard. We have a glass board. You wrote down the things, what we understand the business. By Friday, they signed up. So that's where we have finally at 24,800 now. But the idea is that it's the same product, same service, but it is of value, and they still go, wow, at that point. I've been considering increasing it, but it's like now, the sales guy says it's already crossed a point. So this idea of getting paid for giving advice, and that's a good advice, not a general advice at that time, before even actually doing the true strategy marketing for them, is the thing which we evolved. We've been doing it for this part for now 6 years or so. And without this, we do not engage. Say, if you don't want that, sorry, we're not work with you. So that goes with the idea that don't give away just in the meeting. Don't start saying, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. You don't know yet. Focus on their business, what they could use possibly. What are the things that they have considered, instead of trying to give them solutions from marketing. That's basically the big thing out of that.
I had shared with you a little bit about my background before we started recording. And basically, I'm a sales guy that was forced to do marketing. And when, having the sales mindset and the sales approach, and then therefore applying it to marketing is very different than going the other direction. Okay. As you were telling your story, to me, I found it very sales focused. And oh, by the way, we're doing this marketing to sell the service. Mm-hmm. I think to me, I have to ask the question, how much has that contributed to the success by having that mindset versus marketing to try to sell, and you're selling, trying to market?
So probably quite a lot, but I'm an engineer by training. So in fact, I used to think that I can never sell, but I kind of learned along the way that selling is actually not, if you focus on selling too much, then that's why selling is hard. But if you, as engineer, I was used to convincing people, oh, we're going to spend $1 billion on this next processor, and why. So we just made a case about why this spend is going to be good. So it's much more of a explanation and understanding of why this will matter to the business. So that's what we've been doing on selling. So I do feel nobody should be working in marketing without having done some selling. Because otherwise, marketers have a tendency at time to live in their ivory tower of, this is what it's supposed to be. End of the day, marketing is about increasing sales. So if you are not seeing the end goal, and especially in the current time, there is a reason the CMOs have that short lifetime. They are not aligned with the business, not adding to their bottom line, and just saying, let's change the logo of the company and it's going to be great. And if they do that, of course, they'll look great. Initially, great logo. Yeah, we came up with, but that's not going to increase the sales. So knowing sales, I think, of some experience in some form should be a requirement for anybody to get into marketing. I guess the other skill, of course, is copywriting, which is also, to me, is selling, actually. Copywriting is nothing else but to sell by writing. So keeping that mind, and that it's not only for closing deals, that's the same mindset we bring to the client. We want to start thinking, how can this client sell more? How can they increase their revenue, right? And so when all our marketing is driven by that, There is, like, in fact, the term we use is we don't do any fluff marketing. If the marketing, every dollar we spend is somewhere not bringing you back money back, don't do that. A lot of people say that, but they will still push some marketing things like change your website first, make it prettier, this, and this will happen. No, just let's make some money, right? And then if the messaging is wrong, change it. But changing color is not going to certainly change your game that quickly, right? So
Yeah.
so that's, yes, sales is important, absolutely.
Well, and for me, I mean, your just mindset and your approach is quite different than what we oftentimes are exposed to in regards to, marketing in B2B and what people are supposed to be doing. And then even when you start getting into, some of the aspects in one of your business units talking about, PPC, I see a lot of organizations doing, PPC. I'm on LinkedIn every single day for, a couple hours a day. And I look at some of these ads and I'm like, why would anybody, follow and click on that ad and execute? I see this, just disconnect in regards to what you were just talking about. I mean, a click is not a close, right? And oftentimes what I see is people trying to get a close from a click. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this goes back into that whole savvy test. How do I know somebody's savvy? Or if I'm savvy when I'm thinking about these things.
So it's the idea is that if they are able to articulate what business does and who are the customers and why they buy from you, then they are good marketers. I mean, I've worked with, I prefer not working with nonprofits, but I have done few pro bono. So one of the things the phrase I use, ask them, so what do you sell? They say, oh, we're a nonprofit, we don't sell. I said, no, really, what are you selling? Is it happiness, feel good feeling when promote? Tell me that. Then I can create that feeling for that customer of yours, which you don't want to call a customer. And the others are the doctors. They don't like to call their people customers, right? They are patients. I said, they are customers, okay? So I like to think like that. So what can you do to make them happy, right? So it does come back to, again, is that understand that what drives the business. What is the value? Why they buy, and why would they pay money? The marketer who can articulate that back for your business is probably the one who can come up with the right plan to sell your business, right? And if you want to become a savvy marketer, that's what you should learn how to do. Look at every business and say, what makes it work? How should it be sold? And that will allow you to become a better marketer.
So there's a question that I like to ask along those lines. And I have not found anybody who has been able to answer it as of yet. And this is the question that I asked. I said, before somebody starts using your solution or product, and they've already purchased it, so we know that happens, right? So I bought it, and there's maybe some implementation and things like. I said, before that happens, why do people buy from you? They can't answer it. They haven't used your product yet. And so when I asked the question, people were always saying, well, they want to impact their whatever. I'm like, no. They haven't experienced that yet.
Yeah.
What you need to know is, why did they buy from you before they started getting the results and they're putting it in place? Because those, psychological elements right there are vital to you closing future business.
Absolutely. So so the phrase we use is that a ad copy or the marketing material is a promise which your product delivers on. So every statement, every ad copy all it is a promise. Hey, you buy this, you'll feel good. You drink Bud Light, all these women will hang around you. The standard. So it's a promise. Every ad, every copy, every marketing is a promise that this is what you'll get if you do this, if you buy this. And it's a job of the product or the service to deliver on that promise. Whenever there is a disconnect, if the promise was made which was not kept by the product, then you have a problem. You might get one customer, but then they're going to talk bad about you and you'll not get any more. And the same thing goes with, actually, if you take that same thing, you can start from the ad, you make a promise on the ad, then they go to a landing page, you talk more about that, you fulfill that promise, and then they fill the form and pay the money, then that's where you fulfill with the product. So it's every stage you're making a promise, which you got to keep at the next stage. And if you don't keep the promise at any stage, you break the chain, you will not have a successful business.
Well, think about this, to where it is something that requires, a longer timeline, because I do have a high ticket. People aren't going to go through and purchase a $25,000 product, from just a mere PPC ad. I mean, that's not going to work.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
So, okay. So, if I'm thinking about that in a high ticket, how does that change? How does that scenario change? Because I don't have necessarily, ad copy promises and things like that. There's so many other touch points and interactions that occur.
Yes. Yeah. So that's where in the B2B world, that's where we talk about the earlier, the micro touches, right? So there might be a PDF which explains if you are selling, say, network software. We have had clients there. So we produce 5 things which keep a network administrator up at the night, right? So that's the 5 things they want to know. What are the 5 things which others are worried about? And then, hey, how to secure a network? Here's a PDF. So these multiple things you have to touch, multiple touch points, and then and then the email probably after that, which keeps educating. So it's a much longer, B2B is for no doubt a much longer sales cycle, right? Which does require multiple touch points. And then there also, one of the things which we found is that a lot of salespeople talk about that, a quick close. Our approach has been for our business and for customers, we tell them, unless it's a kind of a, very low value product, you don't, even if the client is ready to buy, you feel like you're ready to buy, don't rush it. If in the first meeting they're ready to buy, most likely you'll cancel some point. Just tell them, this is great, you're very interested. We do that with our own service too. They're ready to sign, send me the contract. We say, okay, now we'll send everything we told you, we'll send you in writing, let's do a meeting. We'll discuss it. And then because the fact is that it's not about one-time money. They're paying us $25K a month. We want that for 9, 12 months. So I don't want to close now and then 2 months later, they're going to be unhappy because there's something they missed. I'll rather lose this client there is a side other effect too. They feel more confident. You don't want the buyer's remorse. So they feel more confident that they didn't push on us. They met one more time. I was ready to pay. And they explained more, and now I'm closing. So they're much more committed in making it successful. So any of the B2B big sale items, it's important not to push the sale too quickly, and in fact, almost most cases, delaying one more step is a good idea, is what I think, as long as they're engaging and moving forward to the next step, basically, on that.
Well, you bring that up, and I have this conversation probably about every single week with my clients is that sometimes we have to go back in order to go forward, because if you imagine, this is kind of how it works, especially when you start getting in the higher ticket, you have multiple people who are involved with that decision, right?
Yeah.
You're not talking to multiple people all along the way. And so what happens is you may have 4 or 5, introductory types of meetings where this, ongoing discussion and discovery is happening. And then you get to that meeting like, oh, I want to invite so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. We got to go back. Because we can't expect to throw them over the creek, and think.
Yeah, this last stage of the presentation. Yeah, they cannot just see the price sheet without having seen everything else before, right? Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so I actually refuse to go forward when somebody starts bringing, buying committee people together that have no context. It just doesn't work. It has never worked. We have to go back and repeat that previous step most often, and sometimes go back 2 steps, and so that they can start getting with that discussion that let's just call them a champion, that person has given us, the discussions that they've had, and then provide the context, and then also, much like you have already established, those new people were asking questions about their perspective about the business and all of that, and so that they feel more comfortable. Then it goes forward faster.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm completely with you on that. Yeah.
That's very helpful. Okay, so now, for us, we kind of have to look at, we've talked about a lot. And I know there's maybe some things that, you haven't covered, but if you could possibly kind of put us together like a quick summary of how to know you're a savvy marketer or you're hiring one.
Yep. So a savvy marketer talks about business, not about marketing. A savvy marketer shows the path to grow the business, not the marketing techniques which will grow them, because they are detailed, not a necessary to product, and they might change, right? And is in alignment with and has the same passion as the founder, owner, or of about the product. If they don't have that, and it could be sometimes a mismatch that you're just not passionate about that product. You could be savvy about other products. So it's important to find that match. And hiring is the same way, that if you see them being articulate about the value of your product, understanding your business, the core business, why people buy, then that's the marketer to work with. That is the marketer who will take you all the way and will work with you, figure out the things and improve your business.
Avi Kumar, thanks for instilling your wisdom upon us. We appreciate that greatly. How does the B2B DM gang get in touch with you?
So yeah, my email is avi, AVI at kuvare.com, and or avi@invisibleppc.com will work too. But Kuvare is where the business we're talking about, B2B, is there. Invisible PPC is, as I said, a white label PPC service for agencies. If you are one of those agencies looking for a partner, for sure, happy to talk to you about that. But otherwise, B2B, avi@kuvare.com is the best way to get in touch with me.
Avi Kumar, thank you for sharing your knowledge and wisdom, and we wish you the very best.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for joining us. Go now to join the B2B DM gang in the B2B Marketer LinkedIn group, where you can connect with other B2B DM disruptors and get access to our B2B DM cheat sheets, checklist, and guides. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, please help by going to iTunes to rate, review, and subscribe. And share the show on all of your digital platforms. Be sure to tune in next week for our next episode. And always remember, you can automate your lead capture, but you must lure your lead.